This is KP4MD. We're now live on YouTube.
KP4MD, KL7H2R, do you need me?
Good evening. This is James, KN6QNJ, your net control operator for the River City ARC's Slow Scan TV Net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City ARC's members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions, and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying, "break, break." A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
November 6 kilowatt Echo, November.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec.
Lima 7, Hotel Quebec,
Anders.
Alpha India 6, Delta Golf.
Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta Carol.
Okay, this is Net Control KN6QNJ. Can the first station, can you repeat your call sign, please?
I'm not sure if it was me, but mine is November 6 kilowatt Echo, November.
November 6 kilowatt Echo November. That's Ken. I got K6PGQ.
That's November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob in North Roseville.
November 6 Papa Golf Quebec Bob in North Roseville. Thank you. And there was a double, KL6. I think that's Anders. Can you repeat your call sign?
November Romeo 6 Hotel. This is Anders.
KL7 Hotel Quebec Romeo, Neo and Antelope.
KL7QHR Neil and NR6H Anders. Did I get that right?
Roger, roger.
And a correction on mine, Kilo at Lima 7, Hotel Quebec Romeo.
Kilo Lima 7 Quebec Hotel Romeo.
Pretty close. KL7 high quality radio. Maybe that helps.
That does help. Thank you. HQ. And AI6DG. Did I miss anybody?
You had Carol K of KB4MD as well.
Right. Thank you. Sorry, Carol. KP4MD. All right, stand by. I'm going to assign numbers. Okay, this is Net Control KN6QNJ. N6KEN, are you ready to transmit a picture?
Yeah, this is N6KEN, I believe so. You're going to have to bear with me. This is the first test of this setup. I am using my iPad connected to my DigiPi to send and receive slow scan tonight, and I am on my IC705 with 10 watts. I'll be transmitting an image on PD120.
Okay, Ken. That came through. I see some black pixelation, but looks like a Muppet character. But let's go to Bob, N6PGQ.
That came out real well. Orange hair, popped eyes. The black background has an awful lot of pixel pops in it. You could hear them. So other than that, the quality's good, color's good, and so that's about all my comment. N6PGQ.
All right, thanks, N6PGQ. Next is Joel, AI6DG.
Yeah, a bit noisy, lots of pops. I forget that, I'm not sure I ever knew the name of this character, but it's the nervous little scientist that's always in the background and has things happen to him as the other scientist explains the experiment, and he's always making kinds of noises. Things always happen to him. Nervous guy. I do have a bit of an edge, a green edge on the left, so I might have had a timing or skew issue with this. I don't know if that's the transmission or my reception. Back to that AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. I see that up on the YouTube, but I don't see that on the copy that I got, so that's interesting. Carol, you're next, KP4MD.
Okay, thank you, James. Yeah, the people who know this character have got to be the real geeks here. I remember this as Beaker, and because I identified very much with geeky nerds. Anyway, fun little picture there of a little a freaky scientist from Sesame Street. Yep, got this. Yep, you see what I see on YouTube there. This is normal. A black background usually will show uh, the little cracklings, interference in the background. It could be just a little bit of low signal strength, but your Pi Star or whatever they call it, it's real interesting. I'd like to hear a little bit more about it when Ken gets to talk. And that's the IC705. Excellent. Good first try with that. Back to Net Control. It's KP4MD.
Thank you, KP4MD. And who's your next NR6H?
So this is definitely one of my favorite Muppets. This is Beaker, and he's the background guy for the scientist. He makes a sound meep meep like that, right? So that's and he always ends up in an accident. Love him. Very good reception, like everybody else said. Some pixel pops, very prominent because of the solid black background, but the colors of Beaker are coming through beautifully. Very good reception and interesting setup for sure. Was looking forward to learn more about that. NR6H, back to Net.
Thank you, NR6H. Neil, KL7HQR, your turn.
Roger, KL7HQR. Very good reception. Interesting that the amount of the blips that we have on the background makes it like he is kind of staring into a starry sky. And it's interesting that James didn't get the green bar on the left. I normally do not get that. I see that on YouTube, and I do have exactly the same thing here. And boy, do I miss the Muppets. And even Sesame Street. At my age, I still miss it. Great transmission. Back to Net.
Thanks. I think, Ken, N6KEN, you brought a smile to our face. Before I ask you to comment on it, I want to welcome Craig, who's watching on YouTube, WP2N in Louisiana. Okay, Ken, tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, this is N6KEN. So I am happy that I got many reports of you guys receiving this. I wasn't quite sure if it was going to work or not. But like I said earlier, I'm using a DigiPi. It's the project of Craig, KM6LYW, up in Cool, California. You can go to his website, Craiger, so craiger.org, I believe it is. And he basically puts out an image that you put on a SD card, and you load that up in either I'm using a Raspberry Pi Zero wireless. So it fits in the palm of my hand, and that is connected to power, of course, and I'm wirelessly connected to it with my iPad, and just through the Safari web browser, I'm connected to the Pi through a VNC connection, so it's a remote desktop connection to the SSTV application, and I'll share a picture of the setup on the Discord channel, but it's quite interesting. I can't figure out how to update the template, that's why there's no call sign there, but that's a work in progress. This was one of the, one second. This was just one of the template images that he had in the image, so I got to figure out how to upload images to it or transfer images to it, and but it's a fun little project.
N6KEN, that's very impressive. Carol, KP4MD, do you want to ask any other questions?
No, not at all. I went ahead and I looked up on I did a Google search and it came up craiger.org/DigiPi. A lot of interesting information on there, and it's kind of like a jack of all trades type of program. It does all kinds of stuff. Very good. Thank you for sharing that, and I'm glad it's working for you. This is KP4MD.
And I think the total investment I have on this, I've got the wireless Pi Zero, and then the little LCD screen, which was like maybe $4. Total investment was probably about $25, and then a USB cable to go from the Pi to the 705 back to the net, N6KN.
Thanks, N6KN. This is KN6QNJ. That's really interesting and really impressive. I think a lot of people will be interested in that. Bob, N6PGQ, are you ready to transmit?
Yeah, I am, and I had this all set up for Wilson, and he decided to bail out. So we'll send it to everyone else. This is PD120, N6PGQ.
All right, Bob, N6PGQ. That's a great photo. Reminds me of when I was a Cub Scout in Soapbox Derby, but a little more complicated. Let's go to Neil, KL7HQR. I'll work backwards through the list this time.
Roger, James. By the way, thanks for being net control, doing a great job. Appreciate it. Yeah, good copy, Bob. Obviously, I don't know cars as you know me. I don't know if you call them roadsters, but two open cockpit cars, probably I would assume the 50s, ready to take off. I hope that guy is not there. Well, he's not a checkered flag, so he's not there seeing them go by. So I think he's about to start. Number 11, red on the distance, 305, a black car. Good picture with the audience. The callers came in, and with the gray background, the pop-ups are not as severe as before. Good copy. Back to net.
KL7HQR. Thanks, Neil. Okay, Anders, NR6H. You're next.
Yeah, I see two cars, somewhat vintage, I would say. It's pretty obvious that this must be the starting line because you can see the smoke coming off the 305 car there, smoke of the tire. So he's been warming up clearly, and off he goes. The red one left some fraction of a second before him, it looks like. Interesting picture. Don't know much about what I'm looking at other than vintage cars. So back to net. NR6H.
Thanks, NR6H. Carol, KP4MD. What do you think?
Yeah, all I can say is the picture came through very clearly, and just two antique cars, and somebody, I guess, kind of a race or something going on. But really nice. Thank you. Back to Net Control. It's KP from D.
Thanks, Carol. Joel, AI6DG. What are your observations here?
So we're at some drag strip. I don't know if it's Sacramento Raceway or not. I've never been there, so I don't. But with the trees in the background, I don't think it's there. But like I said, I've never been there. Some old roasters, probably from the 30s, set up for racing, with the big, slick, wide tires in the back and little skinny tires up front. Roll bar on 305 black in the foreground. No roll bar on 11 red in the background, which makes me wonder how old is the photo, because I would think any modern organization running races like this would require roll bars, but maybe there's an exception, or maybe it's old. With a lady with a flag in yellow in the center between the two cars getting ready to do something, because it's not a checkered or start flag, it's some sort of logo. I can't quite read what it is. And people in the background on the other side of K-rails protecting them, standing up, watching, sitting down, under pop-ups or not, and waiting for the roar of engines, which I guess has already started, because I can just see the start of smoke coming off of the tires. Look forward to hearing more. Back to Net AI6TG.
Thank you, Joel. Yeah, you can almost, I mean, the picture comes through clear enough that you can almost hear the engines roaring. Okay, Ken, you're next. N6KEN.
Yeah, really good picture. One of the better ones that I've copied on here, and I do have that. I'm not sure if this is the green line you guys were talking about. On the very bottom, there's a green line on the very last line, but I normally don't see that when I'm on the laptop, but here on the DigiPi I see that. But otherwise, I almost from a distance couldn't tell that it was copied over slow scan.
Ken, I have the green bottom border on both the computer and the YouTube feed. KP4MD, that's normal though, that's to be expected.
I guess, hello. Yeah, it's not really normal. It just means that there's a little loss of synchronization in the timing of the, it's the computer timer that's a little bit off. But there's an adjustment that could be done in SSTV, but everybody pretty much has to be synchronized equally. And there is a built-in feature of this program that will allow you to synchronize your clock using the text from WWV. But anyhow, if you do an auto slant and an auto sync, it usually is good enough to get a good lock on a picture. Back to Nets, KP from D.
Thank you, Carol. That actually helps me understand it a lot better. I really appreciate that. N6PGQ, Bob, can you tell us about the picture?
Oh, sure, and I don't know how detailed you want me to go, but the picture's only a year old. It was taken at the RPM Nationals, which were at Santa Margarita, which is kind of like near San Luis Obispo for you people that are knowledgeable about California. Both cars are 1932 Ford Roadsters, and the contest has to have cars that appear 1953 or older, which means you can't have a Chevy V8 in your car. So anyway, the car in the foreground is my brother's, and that's my brother driving it. The lady at the front is the starter, and she raises her flag up, and you take off. The track is an 8-mile drag strip track, so you don't go too fast and kill yourself. Car itself, if anybody's interested, has a Ford flathead engine in it with an Elco twin heads, which have 2 spark plugs for each cylinder. It uses a Nash Dual 8 distributor on it. Nash has had redundant systems, and so you can use their distributor to use it on a different car, so you can have a head with 2 spark plugs. Car has a quick change, and after 8 runs, this is the final run, and unfortunately my brother lost to the car that's in the rear. He spun the tires too much and got just a little bit behind. So there's the picture of the start, and that's one of my brother's many cars and many projects, N6 PGQ.
That's a great story, Bob. It really looks like it's a picture that's 40 or 50 years old, so very interesting to see that was just a year ago, and I suspect you're right. Wilson would have really loved to have been here tonight to see that picture. Joel, AI6DG, you're next.
Did I send tone?
We copy tone, yes.
PD 120.
Thank you, Joel. We have a valley landscape. Maybe it's Hetchy Valley before it was turned into a reservoir. Carol, 4P, KP4MD, what do you think?
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I am absolutely useless for really for telling where things are outdoors, since I've always been an indoor person. But it looks very craggy, and I'm sure these are the kinds of things that Joe loves to climb and be on top of. He's got plenty of pictures at these places. I'm going to guess it's one of the California state parks or national parks. So back to Nets, KP4MD.
Thank you, Carol. It also came through with very few pixel pops on my copy. That could partly be a reflection of the texture and the colors. Anders, NR6H. Go ahead.
I received a really good picture. The quality of it is kind of interesting because it almost looks like a painting, but I don't think it is a painting. I think it is a photo. It's just the resolution when it goes through slow scan. I guess it makes it almost painting-like, and the contrast makes it almost look like more of an oil painting than an actual photo. But right under the 7 in galleries, or right under the S in the galleries there, is Half Dome. So this is clearly Yosemite, looking northwest, I guess, something like that. I don't know the distance. But picture must, I think, be taken from some kind of aircraft, because I don't think there is a mountain where we are that can see Half Dome from that perspective. But definitely Half Dome, and beautiful picture. Okay, NR6H, back to net.
You're still struggling with your new call sign. NR6H, Anders, thank you very much. Neil, KL7HQR.
Nice KL7HQR. Very good picture. As Anders said, it was good copy. And definitely Yosemite Valley. Like Carol, I am an indoor person, but this particular case, you recognize it because my wife spent almost every year of her infancy and adolescence going there. And I have been exposed to it quite a lot. So Half Dome, as was Anders indicated, and just below Half Dome is El Capitan from a very different angle. So I definitely, this would have been a hot air balloon or an airplane, and nowadays it could be from a drone. But I think there are restrictions on flying a drone on national parks unless it is for official use. But very interesting picture from a very good angle. Good copy. Back to net.
Thanks, Neil. Ken, N6KEN. This is Kilo November 6, Quebec, November, Juliet.
Yeah, I agree. This is looking through the Yosemite Valley, and if I had to guess, if it's not been taken from an aircraft, it would be pretty much where El Capitan is, the summit of El Capitan. Back to that, N6KN.
Thanks, Ken. Bob, N6PGQ.
Boy, I don't have much to add. I was going to also guess Yosemite. Valley is nice green, so it looks like an inviting place to be, and I'm going to be interested to find out where the picture was taken from and with what type of device got you up into the air, N6PGQ.
Okay, Joel, now we're all curious. What direction are we facing? How did you get this photo?
The direction is, let's see here, east-south or southeast-south. It's, trying to think. It's mostly east, but it's a little bit south, and El Capitan is probably half a mile to a mile behind me. This is from the top of Eagle Peak. So what you might have thought was El Capitan, I think, is probably Washington Column, which is over by the Iwani Hotel. There's actually Yosemite Falls on the extreme left and Nevada Falls kind of to the right. You got Clouds Rest and Half Dome high in center. Clouds Rest to the left, Half Dome dead center. If you go to the URL that's in the clouds, that takes you to a gigaphoto of this shot and a bit more, and you can zoom in and see people on Half Dome and over on Sentinel Dome and Glacier Point and so forth. And Eagle Peak, for some people, definitely not for me, is a day hike. I took this on a multi-day backpacking trip. Equipment was, I don't know, some sort of Canon point and shoot, but it's on a Gigapan head, which which basically moves you set the upper left and the lower right corners, and you set what the field of view is of the camera, and the camera zooms in, and you take like 1,000 pictures, and then when you get home, you can put them all together on on the computer into one photo, and it's extreme high resolution. So literally, you can zoom in and see people a mile away because you could see them with the camera when you zoomed it in, and it's a whole bunch of small photos put together. And it's called a gigapan because it's literally a giga of pixels, not mega, giga. And this is a really nice shot. You're looking down at the valley. You'll get the whole east end of Yosemite Valley. And anyway, go to that URL and have fun. Back to net AI6DG.
Thanks, Joel. That's real interesting. Now that you pointed it out, I can see the falls on the right, and I can see where the Iwani is. So obviously not Hetch Hetchy. Thank you. Carol, KP4MD, it's your turn.
Okay, yeah, it's KP for MD, and this is going to be PD120.
Thank you, Carol. That's a very interesting photo. As it was coming in, I was wondering if it was maybe like a prototype of a lie detector, but no, it's not that. Ken, N6KEN, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I received the image, no problem. Very good image with the SSTV banner there. And I have no guesses. I see some probes and some electronic equipment. I'm going to guess it's some type of test equipment. Back to that.
Thanks, Ken. Bob, N6PGQ. I will say my copy came through really clear. Great photo.
Okay, well, what I see is an oscilloscope on the upper right side looking at a waveform, sine wave, and in the middle is a proto board with looks like different waveforms in the upper left that you can choose, and it looks like there's a device that's being tested in the left side. So I'm going to be happy to hear Carol tell us what it is. N6PGQ.
I am too. I look forward to that. Joel, AI6DG.
As I already stated, oscilloscope in the upper right. It's a Rigel VSO of some kind. Breadboard in the center with integrated power supply and maybe more. I can't really read the labels. I see a couple of oscilloscope probes, one on the breadboard itself, and one looks like it's attached to maybe some chips that are hanging in the air with wires going between the. I think it's a tuna tin on the left of the prototype, breadboard prototype. So we got on the left the tuna tin or some similar device with wires going from it up to components hanging in air between it and the prototype breadboard. And I don't think the device is under test because the oscilloscope seems to have a sine wave on it, although I suppose that's the desired signal. I don't know. We'll find out when we hear more. And it's obviously on a table or bench with miscellaneous stuff in the background, power supplies and bottles of stuff and so forth. Back to Net, AI6DG.
Thanks. This is KN6QNJ Net Control. Anders, NR6H.
Yeah, I can only agree. Good copy here. A few pixel pops across the image, somewhat average from what I've seen earlier tonight. The oscilloscope up on the left, a couple of probes, tuna tin in the back there. Looks like almost an antenna tuner design on the bottom left, and some wires going to it and some wires going to the tuna tin. I'm kind of curious what that big gray thing is, the breadboard setup there. It looks like a kind of a vintage breadboard setup with some knobs and some other outlets or connection points. It looks like a very feature-rich breadboard setup for sure, but still looks kind of vintage. So interested to hear more about what that is. NR6H, back to Net.
Thanks, Anders. Neil, KL7HQR.
Yes, KL7HQR. Very little left to add. I immediately recognized the tuna TNS on the left-hand side since I also built one. But it looks like it's some of Carol's new project. But I heard that she was making I don't know if it was a tuner. I think it was a QRPP tuner. But from what I see here, I would not be able to recognize the gas. But the picture came in very well. And I'm impressed at how many people recognize the tuna TNS there. Back to Net.
Thanks, Neil, KL7HQR. Okay, Carol, we're all curious. KP4MD.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. This is the Tuna Tin S. This was a project that the River City Arcs DIY radio group put together just about a year ago is when we started on this in January of last year. And it's a project that was published in December 2020 QST magazine that Phil, KD6RM, designed a printed circuit board for us and accumulated all the parts from different places and got together a little kit for $25 that turned out to be a frequency synthesized little low power transmitter. And it's got an Arduino Nano microcontroller in there, a little LED, it's an OLED actually, frequency display, which you can see there, that tiny little one that's lit up there on the board. And the SI5351 module is the frequency synthesizer, and that directly drives the gate of an IRF 510, which is a MOSFET final. The radio puts out about, it's only a transmitter, it puts out about half a watt. And that IRF 510 is capable of much more power if it just had a little bit more drive, because what comes out of the SI5351 isn't enough really to fully drive that IRF 510, which has a low impedance input there. It's a high capacity gate. It's about 180 picofarads that you have to drive, so it needs a lot of current, and the 5351 can't provide that. So one of the challenges that Phil and I think Bob, KF6ABC, were thinking was putting together a driver, a little driver stage to boost up the output power. And I finally got around to breadboarding it. Let me drop the repeater a moment. Okay, this breadboard is actually it's a vintage Heathkit electronic trainer. It's the ET3600. It's got a built-in breadboard right on the front there, and it's got variable power supply. The two controls in the upper left are from 0 to 15 volts positive and 0 to 15 volts negative. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a sine wave and a square wave generator. If you needed that for audio, and in the center there's 60 hertz at low voltage if you needed that for any circuits you were building. And then there's a couple of potentiometers down on the left and the right and the lower and the foreground of this little device. This actually belonged to my husband Roger. I'm not sure where he got it. Maybe he bought it and was doing some training on it or found it somewhere, but it was here, and I decided I was going to put it to good use, and we did put together a little driver. It uses 2N2222 in a common emitter format, and then that drives a complementary symmetry pair, which is a 2N2222 and a 2N2907. It's a PNP and an NPN. And what it does is it boosts the output of that 5351, the SI5351, to a square wave that has an amplitude of 12 volts, from 0 to 12 volts, at a good amount of current. And it actually pushes the IRF 510 into saturation. And what you're looking at on the Rigol scope there is the output across a 50 ohm dummy load. It's reading 40 volts peak to peak, which is the same as 4 watts RF. So it actually pushes the IRF 510 up to the maximum output it can actually have with that supply voltage. It's running on 12 volts. So I've been working on this for the past couple of days and having a lot of fun with that. So back to net. This is KP4MD.
Thank you, Carol. That's amazing, at least from my perspective. Really impressive. Thank you, KP4MD. Okay, Anders, NR6H, it's your turn.
Copy.
Go ahead with comment first.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Go ahead, Anders.
I said the comment, and I just wanted to point out that there were a number of prototype boards like this, or at least similar, down at Pacificon. I don't know, maybe it's just because of being down in the Bay Area and there being a lot more electronics like this down there, but I was surprised at Pacificon last year just how many of these Heathkit breadboards there were. I don't know if they were as fancy as this, but yeah, it's a nice system and a nice device to have for components and chips and anything that you're breadboarding. So yeah, keep on to that. Hang on to that, Carol. Back to net, AI6TU.
Thanks, Joel. Sorry, I thought that was Anders. Are there any other comments before we move on to Anders? Anders, NR6H, if you're ready to go.
This will be a PD 120.
All right, NR6H Anders. Well, that came through really well. I have one horizontal line, probably some digital signal. I'll let others comment on what this is, starting with Neil, KL7HQR.
Roger, it's KL7HQR. Very good copy, Anders. And background, very clear details of being a wooden background with what appears to be a collection of, first of all, I thought they were kind of grease-feeding devices that had been removed from something, but they look like they are different types of connectors. And of course, when you say connecting, looks like on the bottom left, it was like PL259, I don't know. But I don't understand if I cannot see if they're actually soldered together, connected together, and the bottom, of course, on top they're loose. But very interesting. I wonder what project you were doing that you needed that for connecting. And I don't think it is a digital. The bar in the middle, it looks like it is there on purpose to separate the two pictures. But good copy, very good copy. Back to net.
Thanks, Niels. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, picture came through very clear. A lot of all kinds of adapters. Looks like you have N connectors, UHF connectors, some I don't know, T connectors there maybe too, BNCs, adapters. Quite a nice collection there. Back to net. This is KP for MT.
Thanks, Carol. Joel, AI6DG. Do you think that Anders has made some kind of sculpture here?
Definitely some creativity. So we've got two pictures, top and the bottom. They're separated with a brown bar. The top one towards the bottom quarter of it, so it's about a third of the way down. There was the ID, the repeater ID. The top one has a label N6NA SSTV Net 2022-01-26. The bottom is labeled NR6A Connecting ... The pictures have the same wooden background behind them. I recognize that knot between the two of them. And it's I'm assuming the same assortment of RF connector adapters. I see UHF, N connectors, SMAs, BNCs. I don't know if there's anything else. I didn't see it. But there's all kinds of weird combinations there at the top, and they're all disconnected. And at the bottom, they're all connected together, and that's where the connecting ... comes from. And I'm assuming it's just the art, not for any real purpose. And although I am kind of curious what the dB loss you would get through that nightmare is, and what kind of a SWR bump you would measure if you were to go to that much farther. Obviously not optimal, but it's not for real. It's for fun. It's for connecting back to net AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel. This is KN6QNJ. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, can't add much. The top are all the different adapters and connectors. You can see the, male or female to female, about 3/4 of the way across, and a whole bunch of different ones. That's a good collection. You got to be able to make anything connect to anything else. N6PGQ.
Thank you, Bob. Ken, can you connect these to the Raspberry Pi? I saw your post on Discord. That's pretty cool. N6KEN.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's I can't really make it out if there's a BNC to SO239, but I'm using that variety tonight. Hi. I have a bag of these connectors. I think mine is just a little slightly more impressive. I've got a few more. I used to collect football cards, now I collect adapters.
N6KEN, that's very funny. Are there any other comments? All right, NR6H, can you tell us about this picture?
So this was I think Bob has talked about that a few times, that take a picture of what's in front of you, but oops, I need a picture really quick. That's what happened here. So this was just some connectors that was lying on my workbench, and I tried to create the world's worst BNC to N adapter, and I think this is up there somewhere. I don't know. I didn't measure it, but basically it was what I had in front of me, and they all went together, and there you go. So that's what this is. Somehow there's always the connector you need you don't have. So this collection is just a little fraction of what's really back there, and there's always a problem finding what you need. So Amazon, here I come again. More connectors are coming in. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Anders. NR6H. You show us that you can work well under pressure and put together something really interesting for the SSTV net. Niels, KL7HQR, it's your turn.
Project KL7HQR. Before I do that, I just noticed that we're coming up on 10 o'clock. Do we want to close the net at 10, or do we have time for a transmission?
Are there any thoughts from the group? I'm okay going for yours.
Okay, having heard no negatives, this is going to be a PD-120.
NSNAKL7HQR. I have a good copy of that photo. At first, at least for the first half, I thought you had the same problem that Anders had, that you needed to make a quick picture for tonight. But then I saw the rest, and I really don't know what to say. Ken, N6KEN, go ahead.
Yeah, N6KEN, and this is a picture of my guest bedroom, and I'm just curious how he got a picture of it.
I'll have to ask him about that. Bob, N6PGQ. How'd the picture come through for you?
Yeah, picture came through just fine. The bars at the top, I don't know whether they're windows or something that do not connect on my my picture, but it looks like somebody has an advertising brochure here. I don't think this is a place Neil has been, but we'll wait and see what he has to say. N6PGQ.
And probably not Ken's guest bedroom. Joel, AI6DG, what are your thoughts?
Well, we have a piece of creative photo editing. We have a very modern, fancy-looking, stylish bed with a wrinkled sheet on it, pulled aside, and a couple of nice end tables on each side of it. Kind of a newy style kind of Japanese bamboo wall behind it with a very fake-looking cloud and blue sky shot coming through the window at the head of the bed, and to the left looks like there's another window looking out on a forest. But the whole bed is kind of like sitting in the middle of a stream with waterfalls coming down off the side of it, and a rock in the foreground, rock surface. I guess maybe a rock surface riverbank on the side of it. I suppose this could be real, but then someone has some very creative carpet or wallpaper put down on their floor. Advertising, yeah. That looks like something that would be advertising something. You'll sleep like you lived in the clouds or something like that. Back to net DI6DG.
Thanks, Joel, KN6QNJ. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, I'm going to take a risk here, and I'm going to say that this is a real, actually it's a real place that Neil has been, because he's been to some of these avant-garde places in Europe, which have all kinds of optical illusions. I think it's a painted scene on the floor that looks like a waterfall underneath the bed in a real hotel room somewhere, probably in Europe. So those people they like to play tricks with your eyes. So back to net. This is KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. Anders, NR6H.
The picture came through really well. I got the repeater ID about 2/3 down. But if it is the carpet or the floor painting, it would look really weird if you're actually in the room. It looks good from this angle, but it wouldn't look good from any other angle, I think, unless it's a hologram. That would be awesome. I'm more interested in that ghost vase that's on the right end table there, or the bed table. There are two very tall vases, or semi-transparent objects, and the left one looks really weird, shadowy. Maybe it is a shadow of something. Yeah, interesting. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, NR6H. I can't imagine getting in or out of that bed without hitting your shins and back of your legs. So I'm interested to hear about this, if it's real or imagined. Niels, KL7HQR.
KL7HQR. First of all, Joel, I congratulate you on your marketing ideas. And Carol, you give me way too much credit. This picture I obtained from the internet approximately, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And it wasn't advertising, but it was advertising for a company that was doing specialized floor painting or carpeting to create different exotic type flooring arrangements. I have another half a dozen of them, and other nets I'll send a couple more. So it is for a real company, and it is the floor arrangement. Some of them you would, I don't think I would want to have. This one here, it would be awkward if you wake up in the middle of the night and you have to go to the kitchen, and all of a sudden you see the waterfall. So very IKEA style, very I don't know, Anders help me here, but Scandinavian lines, very clean lines, and etc. But very impressive. I have not seen it again for quite a while on the net. Back to net.
Thanks, Neil. Very interesting. This is KN6QNJ. Are there other comments or observations before we close the net tonight? Well, that's a very interesting floor. It would be a little bit awkward to walk on. Just one last call. Any comments on the picture, or any other comments about the net tonight? Of course, I know we all missed Wilson, but hopefully he'll be back next week to take over net control. One last chance for comments.
7HQR. Yes, we miss Wilson because he's a good part of the group, but you did a wonderful job. It was seamless, professional. Nobody would think you were just starting in. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And R6H, I just want to chime in on the same comment there. You did a fantastic job tonight, James. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Anders. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank all who participated in tonight's SSTV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 10:09 p.m. This is James, KN6QNJ, wishing all of you a good evening.
A very good evening, and thank you for an excellent slow scan net, James. This is KP4MD, and we're also signing off live stream on YouTube.
Thank you, KP4MD. Appreciate it.